Well, hello, Insurtech Insights. How's everyone feeling today? Feeling good? Oh, man, I can't hear that. Are you feeling good? Woo! Well, you will be after this panel, I guarantee. So we have an amazing lineup of speakers today. Happy day 2 of the conference, by the way. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves and still got plenty of energy. I'm Melissa Collett, and I'm CEO of Insurtech UK. We're the only trade association in the UK dedicated to insurtechs. So if you're not a member already, what are you waiting for? Shameless plug aside, today we have a fantastic lineup of speakers to talk about our topic today, which is P&C digital disruption. Is tech transformation delivering on its promise? A little bit of a controversial topic, so let's dive in. So, we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of topics today: business models, product innovation, insurance distribution, and of course, AI. So let's meet our panelists.
Morning, everyone. I'm Iran, founder and CEO of Legitech. And at Legitech, we do a cloud-native, AI-driven core policy admin system, digital transformation, embedded insurance, etc.
Brilliant, thank you.
Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
And good morning, everyone. So Jonathan, I run Swiss Re Data Solutions. This is a business that's effectively the intersection of all of our data models and decision intelligence for clients. So it's everything beyond risk transfer. I'm really interested to explore a little bit beyond the tech hype and see how these changing models, how sustainable and effective are they on the session today. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Good morning. It's lovely to see so many interested people in transformation and AI. I'm Jana from Generali Corporate and Commercial, Chief Information Officer. We operate in 50 countries, always call it the 50,000 galloping horses. I have been threatened by a few people from various countries of Generali to turn up. Regretfully, they have. So when the heckling comes, I know where it comes from, but actually all of the good work comes from the same people in the countries.
Thank you, Jana, and thank you, Generali, for the lanyards.
God, we all look like we're Generali employees. That's scary. But...
Okay, good morning, Melissa. I'm going to try to match your energy. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ekine Akuiyibo. I am an engineer masquerading as a COO of Socotra. Socotra is a policy and billing administration system based in the US. Fun fact, Socotra's first 4 customers were in 4 different continents: Africa, Rwanda, Europe and Germany, Australia, and North America in the US.
Brilliant, lovely. Great. Well, let's get started. And don't forget, if you have questions of your own, please do put them in the Slido, and we'll, if I like them, we'll put them to the panel. Right. So AI is transforming how our commercial clients operate. And so how does that change the value proposition of commercial insurance or reinsurance for clients? I mean, I wanted to start with our 2 reinsurers and insurers.
After you.
So I'll share some views on this, thank you. I think if we think about InsurTech 1.0 disruption and where it hasn't worked, that's maybe a good place to start. And really, I think the main point there is we didn't do a very good job of understanding end state. So companies would say, I need fintech, insurtech to improve efficiency, or I need insurtech to help me get access to customers, distribution. But actually what they were also wanting in many cases was to enable their view of risk. And we missed that, so the interconnectivity point was missed. Things have moved forward a lot now. AI, new technologies, massive enhancements. But if we take that sort of foundation challenge and now we overlay expectations of clients I'll just share a little bit about what we see from our client set. And by the way, from Risk Data Solutions, our client set's everything in Swiss Re. So it's corporates, large multinationals, insurance companies, and a lot of public sector clients as well. The first thing is they have a huge expectation that we're going to go beyond just capacity providing, that we're actually going to help them with this term I would use, decision intelligence, which is real-time insights at the point when it counts. So the expectation now is that data is only going to be, it's only of value if you give it to me at the right time to make the right decision. I caught a little bit of the last session and I heard them speaking a bit about that. The second thing is the way we use data from an insurance perspective and AI. Gone are the days of just being able to look at loss history and making a decision on risk and insurance purchase on that basis. Companies really want to have a holistic view of risk, and they want to be able to compare their view of risk versus others. So what that plays out in insurance companies is things like model blending, real-time exposure management. On the corporate side, they want to have a holistic view of all of their risks. So they don't want to just understand what's the climate impact on their physical assets. They want to know how does that interconnect with geopolitical risks, supply chain disruptions. So huge expectations around that. And the third thing I would say is they now want to understand what's in the models because of all these AI models. And it's not just the technical person sitting in the exposure management team, it's the CEO that's asking questions now because they're on the line for them from the regulatory perspective. They want to lift the bonnet and avoid this black box, sort of paradox where you have this extreme accuracy without actually understanding what's the underlying model used for. So those are some of the trends. So you've got the starting point where we didn't understand the end state, this massively evolving end state because the expectations are changing. But on a positive note, we're getting a lot better at connecting the dots and looking at things more holistically.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that. And what's your perspective on that, Jana?
I will pick up on connecting the dots because we all know that corporate and commercial insurance is a very complex ecosystem. And we have tried now for maybe a couple of centuries to manage it with deterministic approach, deterministic data. With such a complex ecosystem, we're genuinely at the point of revolution. And it is AI driven. One of the most shocking conversations, and it was a very good conversation with highly experienced advisors and based on data, S&P 1200 study. Okay, let's cool down a little bit. Only 5% of the AI initiatives in that study have been successful. Hooray, we have time. No, we don't. Because the negative side is maybe those first 5% were successful, 95 not successful. Again, S&P 1200, Generali is not part of that index. So I'm safe to talk about that. But the next part of the conversation was the shocking bit. So we were thinking, okay, when is this new shiny AI agents among us, very complex ecosystem in insurance? When do we need to be in that spot? Is it 2050? Is it 2040? And actually the answer is shocking, 2030. So good people, we have 4 years to get ourselves there. And if we do not, someone else will. And it is a very complex ecosystem, lends itself very well to AI, needs to be done intentionally, but there's no way of avoiding it.
Complex ecosystem. Can I just take a check here? You can all hear us, okay? Yep, thumbs up. Very good, like that. So, Aaron, from a sort of outside-in point of view, are insurers redesigning products fast enough? Or are clients evolving faster than insurers?
I think insurers aspire to design products faster. I think they're very limited by their old legacy core platforms. I think majority of them are running old legacy, 30, 35-year-old COBOL mainframe or AS400 systems. The newer ones who are running new legacy systems would be like 20, 25-year-old Java or .NET platforms, which pose a serious boundary and a serious risk in the implementation of AI, because in order to do it properly, you need to have proper access to data, you need to be able to properly integrate it within your insurance life cycle, you need to properly integrate it into the products themselves, And when it takes you 12 to 18 months to create the new insurance product, even a simple one, it's a real issue. What we do with our customers, in that case, I can take an example of business insurance, is we embed AI throughout the entire life cycle. So from the product creation to the underwriting, where we assess risk. If you're doing a business insurance, it doesn't matter if it's a $100 million policy or a $10,000 policy. We assess the risk. We assess the risk based on data that our customers has within their databases. If it's existing customers, we assess the risk based on data coming from open sources. So where is the business located? What is the crime rate in this area? How far is it from a fire station? How long will it take the police to arrive at the scene if there is a break-in? Is it prone to flood, et cetera, et cetera. And that's only part of the risk calculation. So you're right about the history, claims history, et cetera. And then when you look at claims, is it a fraudulent claim or not? You look at the networks of the owner and how is he associated with other, has he had claims in the past? Were they fraudulent or not? What are the risks? If you look at motor insurance, as an example, you report that you had an accident at a certain area at a certain time of day and it was raining. Our business partners can check whether it was raining at the time, look at video surveillance cameras of the area, and so on, so on. So all of this is done by implementing AI component into the actual product creation and the process. And in order to do that, you need a modern system. Otherwise, someone else will.
Fair enough, yeah. Let's bring Ekine on the conversation now. Socotra works with insurers launching new products. What kind of products are insurers experimenting with to address this new AI-powered world that Eran was talking about?
So our 40-plus customers, maybe 20 of them, think about new products on two dimensions, I would say, or experimenting on two dimensions. The first dimension is, pricing. How do we price more real-time, more with real-time data, and so on and so forth. The second dimension is essentially how do we look at responding to the new changes in our environment. So as an example, parametric insurance that we've been talking about for a lot of years, I'm sitting here and before we were mic'd up, I got a notice that my flight was delayed, for more than 3 hours. So I'm not getting home anytime soon. So in the past, we would have to go through a process where I would have to point out, hey, my flight was delayed, and so on and so forth. But if I bought insurance for that flight today, parametric insurance, if the flight was delayed more than 2 hours, then I can expect the claim to be paid automatically. So fundamentally, what's going on there is that the systems are talking to each other. The systems, the data, the agents are talking to each other. And so from an AI perspective, the way we think about it at Socotra is the new customer, at least for the future, is not the human. The new customer is actually the agent that's going to be doing the work for us. So, the days of RPA, the days of robotics and so on and so forth, where they actually just they went through and made some sort of digitization of what you already had is past. These days, agents are making decisions for you. You have to put guardrails around the decisions, obviously, but essentially, the customer is now an agentic AI agent working on your behalf. And if you start to think about it that way, you start to think about what do our systems need in order to make that possible in the future.
Thank you. And yeah, I like the parametric example. I think that's everyone's favorite parametric, when you get an instant payout when the flight's delayed. But it's like, where are we going with that? And I hope we're not replacing moderators with AI soon. Can I turn to Jonathan on the reinsurance and actuarial services side? Which innovations actually scale?
Yeah, I'm I've sort of just evolving my thinking on the panel because I just wanted to build on Eran's point. I think fundamentally we've got to look at the foundation of data first to understand that picture. And if we say the problem statement or the barriers is poor data quality, legacy systems, let's start with those, then obviously solving that helps you to actually therefore be able to scale AI technologies. We see kind of three, you can bucket these things in many different ways. I'm going to go for three approaches being taken if I'm talking about insurance companies primarily. The first is really getting, and this is very few cases of old, long-standing insurance companies, really getting the data lake right, the foundation piece. And then from there, you can do portfolio steering and cycle management and accumulation management and effectively having a single source of truth in your company. There's not many doing that, but there are a couple that we see. The second is what you see outside, a lot of conversations going on, which is recognizing we got spaghetti effect with systems, we've grown through acquisitions, we're going to put AI capability over the top of that and take us from unstructured to structured and be able to solve this issue through AI tools. Skepticism early, now becoming optimism in that space, I would say. And the third is not so much the big multinationals, but a lot of companies that just decide to outsource this challenge entirely and will effectively look for a third party in pockets that might be a single line of business in a single country, orchestrate my underwriting system for me with pricing, real-time AI underwriting, and I'll take that and I'll see if I can deploy that and grow from there. And so effectively outsourcing the challenge. There's different approaches, and I think the most important thing is to manage your data, get on top of your data. So whichever model you're choosing, you should choose that and really put at the core an understanding of data and data management. And some of the things that you're talking about, I agree with, but I also think there's a whole piece around augmentation with human and system, of course, which might lead towards less the frontier AI models, more some of the fringe models where they don't need as much power and capability, and they can solve little things like claims bordereau issues or fraud detection, and don't need to pull huge power, and every data source can actually work with individuals and your teams and your capabilities. So there's still big question marks around the direction on these models, but I'm a believer that there's space for the two to come together, and they don't need to just necessarily be huge big bang bets. I think there will be lots of different versions of these capabilities. So that's a little bit the themes that we see.
Thank you for that. And I think, getting on top of your data, I think there's a few insurtechs out there who can help you with that. And I wanted to turn to Jana now and sort of inside a large insurer, where is AI already changing sort of day-to-day work today?
I will pick up from the data. I'll go back 3 years and I'll come back to your question. So 3 years ago, Insurance Tech Conference, and we had a round table, 20 people, closed doors conversation, the same problems in the big insurers. And I was just coming off, flying in the last moment. Everyone else was already sad. And someone said, how are you going to replace your legacy systems? And I had a conversation with a top person in Generali, and the two of us had come up with this. I don't want to spend hundreds or whatever it is, millions of pounds replacing old legacy systems with new legacy systems. So how about we put all of the data in one place and run AI on top of it, and we don't buy core admin systems. You should have seen the panic in the room 3 years ago. What are you talking about? No. You have this old system. You need to move to this new system. You need to migrate the data. You need to do it really nicely. Okay. So the funny thing is, even this morning, I was walking around, people from that panel, from that round table 3 years ago said, do you know what we're doing? Exactly what we were discussing 3 years ago. Because again, we live in a very, very complex ecosystem. So if we manage to decompose our problem and say, this needs to be done with deterministic checks. I was listening to Duncan's presentation from WTW. I don't know whether you were in the room. I love how he summarized it. Certain things, data, big data, maybe some of the broker interactions can be done non-deterministically, and AI can do it at large scale. So again, we need to be intentional with this stuff because there's, again, there's no way we will be solving our future problems with the old tools. And the whole thing with AI, if we're going to be ready for that realistically in 2030, you're saying something along these lines. If it is a agentic world, some of the agents are AI, some of the agents are human. So how do we actually think about that end-to-end architecture in integration and coordination of agents? I need to, so somehow someone will pay you the penalty for missing the flight. But also, just while on this dream on scenario, why not? Let's dream. So last night we had a really good dinner, and someone was saying that there was a challenge from a presenter, an Italian astronaut, and she said, "Why don't you insure satellites?" Okay, correct? Happened. Okay, so last night we were designing the solution for insuring satellites, and it had all of the things that you're talking about: a lot of data, a lot of real-time feeds, a lot of parametric insurance. We just couldn't work out who is going to do the risk management for that. Apart from that, we're ready with the solution.
Yeah, good point. Iran, what's harder, building the technology or getting the organization to trust it?
I think it's a bit of both. From a technology perspective, building a core system is doable. Has been done before on old technology. Definitely can be done again on a newer technology.
Yeah.
I think one of the major challenges that insurers have, and I would speak to the audience for a minute. If you knew, I'm going to take banking systems as an example. If you knew how, let's say, banking systems of HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland, Standard Bank, Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank, UBS, etc., if you saw how they built, on which foundation, from a software engineering perspective, you would keep your money under the mattress. In insurance, it's worse. Now, so when I speak to customers, they know they have a problem. They know they're living on borrowed time because they've tried to extend their systems by adding a digital layer. So in reality, you have two separate systems talking to each other, one providing this beautiful internet access mobile apps, but at the end of the day, it's the old mainframe with COBOL or AWS Natural or whatever running the core business. So they know they have a problem. The question is, can they trust you to deliver a solution? And the two approaches there. One is a technical solution. Let's take the system, the old system, and try and bring it to a modern technology. You mentioned spaghetti. 30 years ago, I did COBOL to Java transformation. So most of you don't know what even spaghetti programming refers to. It refers to doing dry runs and pointing lines we go from this to this to this to this, and then it looks like spaghetti. So we turn the spaghetti into fettuccine, slightly wider noodles, absorb the sauce better, but still a problem. And the other thing is to do proper digital business transformation that doesn't look just at the technology, but provides a technology that enables you to create the right insurance products, the right business products that are actually good product market fit for your customers, because their requirements have changed. We took travel insurance a couple of years ago, and we turned it from a standard per trip product to an annual pay-as-you-go product that is linked to your mobile. So you do the underwriting once a year. You're eligible for insurance throughout the whole year, and all you need to do is travel with your mobile, and we know where you are based on the cellular tower you connect to, and based on that, you build for your insurance. So that's a business transformation. It's the technology enables it, and we do the same with business insurance and home insurance and motor insurance and other products. And to do it properly, you need to do both. You need a technology that you can rely on, but you also need a business understanding. You need a partner that understands not just technology, but also insurance.
Brilliant. And I've noticed now we've got some questions from the audience. Thank you very much. I'm going to start making those ones live using this tech. Let's see if this works. Oh, yeah. Okay, I like this question. Let's start with this one. So this can be anybody here want to jump in. Which areas are underserved by AI and waiting to be transformed?
Customer care.
Want to jump in with that?
I feel bad for taking time from my colleagues. If
Go
anyone
for it.
wants to
Go
answer.
for it.
Definitely customer support. For example, we're doing a full digital transformation of a large insurance company in Israel, Phoenix Insurance, the largest one actually. And one of the things we did is we embedded AI agents that are doing customer care chatbots and reduces more than 70% of the workload of the call centers, because a lot of these issues can be supported now by AI. And not only that, in the underwriting, instead of going through a 15 pages questionnaire, you have a simple conversation with a chatbot that's linked to our core system, and it asks you some questions, and based on that recommends. And I would say, for example, businesses in your area, in your line of business, are taking this type of coverages. Would you like to see that? Or we see that in your previous policy, you had that type of coverage. However, we would recommend you to take a higher coverage or a lower coverage. So all of this, like, there is significant time and cost savings both on call centers and on underwriters and agents that are basically delegating stuff to AI. And the same goes with parametric insurance. It was Akine's example where, you know, in some insurance products up to a certain level, all the settlement is done automatically based on the meeting the parametric boundaries. So.
Great.
I'm going to go down the line because then
Yeah,
I can hit
there's
two
one
questions. There's one to
specifically
me,
for
so
you.
I'll do both. I'll combine them. I'm going to say product, and that goes to the second one. So we talked a lot about functions and processes and, you know, data ingestion, all that product. And so to give to the second question an example, where do we look at data and AI intersection? I'm really excited about some of our products in CAT modeling space.
Okay.
I'm not a deeply technical person, but I'm super excited about this. So we've actually used data and AI coming together, for example, to build with a company that we actually acquired here in the UK called Fathom. They're a flood-leading sort of data set company, to actually build sort of a world-leading data terrain set. So this allows us obviously to get huge accuracy in modeling, but actually just had a conversation with them this morning, and the results that they're getting back from their AI researchers on also looking at things like extending and improving resolution on climate models that go into the NatCat models. There's some phenomenal results. It's a bit early for us to openly talk about this, but the beauty is this company actually publishes all of the work that they're doing in scientific models and annuals. So really just thinking about this deficiencies in our products. In this case, the deficiency what we have in CAT models is it takes a long time to validate them, and it's difficult to get them extending out to 10, 20, 30, 50 year plus sort of scenarios. So actually using the data that you've got and then using the AI tool to extend and improve width of resolution, you know, remarkable changes, and this is going to have a big transformation for some of our products. So I think products, not just all those other fundamental processes in an organization that are changing.
Nice one. And there's one for insurers there from Bob. Jana, do you want to take that one?
Actually, I will skip the third question, and I'll go for the first and the fourth.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. I do like the first one, because if you imagine that we have internal and external things, things that we know and things that we don't know. So 4 quadrants. The most difficult is the external that we do not know. And this is why I really like that satellite insurance, because yes, you can use AI to tell you something external, how you can do a completely new business. Well, we already have a line of business by today, right, Antonio? Yep, done, solved. So, but again, the easiest of these 4 quadrants has been the internal that we know. How do we streamline operations? How do we do document ingestion? We're doing, everyone is doing this, okay? But the external that we don't know, that's the challenging bit. And then on the fourth question, to me, the biggest challenge technically we need to work out is we need to be philosophical. Not one technology is going to take over the world. Not one answer will solve all of our problems. So we need to be decomposing the world and say, how am I going to integrate my agents? So I would like to have beautiful technology for orchestrating, integrating agents intentionally, unintentionally. Also, Ericsson Chan was talking about an intentional dialogue. So that whole orchestration of our agent ecosystem in the future, I would like to see technology support for that.
Thank you.
I'll jump in really quickly
Jump
and
in.
answer the first question. I'm not an insurer, but I'll answer the first question. To us, we see technology, legacy technology, as the barrier, and it's not it's not necessarily about how do you design the perfect product. It's more how do you iterate quickly enough to get to the perfect product. And so, if your iteration time is faster, you know, obviously you get to the product that you want to sell or the product that you can change faster. And so when technology holds us back in iterating to get to that product, you know, I have customers, especially if it's a really complex commercial product, that takes them a long time. The actuaries, everybody, product owner has to weigh in. And then you have to actually build it in technology and then test it and then go to market. If you can shrink down that time, I mean, this is not new. This is what we've been doing in technology for a long time. And then you can iterate and then you can get to that product. So legacy technology is holding us back with actually building new products. And so again, back to sort of our plug about how are you building your systems? How are you thinking about your systems interacting? You know, can AI help you build your products? The answer is yes, yes, yes to all of those questions, but you have to think about it fundamentally from the ground up, and that is what changes. And AI is not going to take over the world. I don't believe that by any stretch of the imagination. I do believe that we should be purposeful in our adoption of these technologies.
Could I jump in and give the insurance flip
Sure.
side?
But I wanted to just show you, we've got even more questions
Yeah,
coming through.
we'll hand those off to my left
What an
and right.
engaged audience here. It's wonderful. So
Quick,
I'm
very-
trying to surface them here. Somebody's talking about cyber security. Anybody want to take that one?
I just quickly want to share one point, and then someone
Great,
can take
please
cyber.
do.
So the other point on that, representing the insurance side, is as an industry, we've not been good at process standardization. So it's not just the systems landscape. If you look at we have Accord standards, which is an insurance standard that looks at standardizing how we access, process, share data. Lloyd's London Market is quite strong on this globally, some of the reinsurers, but this is not standards that have been adopted consistently across our insurance space. So that gets to your point about, do we have a chance now with agents to actually get them? Can you think about an agent working in Generali and then Swiss Re? And it's just, well, if we actually had started the industry building with a bit more standardization in the way that we look at processes and adoption. I know we were talking about some of the failings of some of the blockchain and some other things in the past. I think this has really been one of the additional things. We all operate in our own way. We kind of have some standards, but for the claims people in the audience, FNOL, first notification of loss, means something different in every system. So I think there's also a really sort of commonality, common framework around the way we look at naming of data and processes that probably also needs to be considered in this next wave. Sorry, I'll let someone else do cyber.
Well, the regulators should be giving us some commonality and common frameworks.
Yeah,
but
they do.
That's just me.
Where do we adopt them?
Yeah.
What, anyone want to talk about, we've got these questions, POG field, anyone want to talk about that? Or can you read that? Or what about, someone's asking about computational governance and compliance. Any takers?
I mean, I think it's one of the barriers for sure. In the United States, for instance, we have 50 states and 50 commissioners of insurance for each state. So if you've ever done business in the United States, you know, it's actually easier to deploy products in Europe, all across Europe, than it is, you know, for instance, in the state of New York. I hope nobody's from New York here.
Someone said that in New York you actually need a physical safe in order to get an insurance license. Remember a conversation with the CEO of Lemonade around that?
But the point I'm trying to make here is that unfortunately they're behind. they're just not they're not as informed, and so it's our job to inform the regulators and keep them up to date, and make them feel like they're protecting the public. That's their job. Their job is to protect the consumers of insurance. But if they don't, if they don't understand what we're doing, if we're moving too fast for them, then they slow us down. I live in California. If anybody knows about deploying products in California, it takes a long time to do that because they're trying to protect the consumers at the end of the day. And so I think it's our job in the industry to educate them and bring them along with us.
Fair enough. And sounds like Europe 1, US 0 when it comes to regulation, huh?
Not just.
No comment.
Good one.
There was a question about cyber.
Yeah, cyber.
Right. So I'm not sure if the question was referring to how do you protect AI agents against cyber hacks. There are technology solutions for that. I'll take it from the angle of insurance around cyber insurance, actually, where when you create a cyber insurance products, one of the things that you need to do is to evaluate the risks that are associated with that specific business. And we've done some cyber insurance products in the past, integrating different assessment technologies. There are several vendors in this space that would provide you with information about general risks of the industry and the country, and then there are risks like risk scoring of, let's say, the specific business, looking at the digital assets of the specific business, and providing a grade whether you would like to insure that business or not. And there are other providers like MasterCard, for example, that will also look at the risk of the monetary risk. If there is a cyber hack to this specific business, how much money is it going to lose? How much is it going to cost you as an insurer to recover that? So all of these things need to be taken into account. And again, you need a platform that will enable you to integrate it properly. Another question that was brought up was whether it's technology or business in creating a new product. And I think it's both. Technology is definitely a limitation, but it's very important to understand how the business works, which is why on the embedded insurance side, we work with distribution channels. So we actually talk to telco, mobile operators, employee benefit companies, etc. And we help them to create insurance products that actually fit their customers. So really good product market fit. So I think the combination of understanding what customers want together with the right technology is a solution.
Brilliant. Well, we're getting close to time here, so let's have one final wrap-up question. We've got a lot of people in the audience. Some of them may be sort of in the innovation teams of insurers, even CIOs of insurers. So let's ask the panel quick fire. What's the one thing you would prioritize if you were a CIO in the audience?
APIs, API-first development. You have to start building APIs, which is, to your point, Jonathan, the way you start thinking about standardization, like how the systems talk to each other. You have to document and build APIs so that there's a standard way, there's a coherent language that they can talk to each other. And this is the biggest problem that we have today.
Jana, you are a CIO.
If we are going to be ready for this agentic future, 2030, there are two types. The one which is delivered by IT, and we can go and flog us to death, IT. But the other one is the rest. So I saw Neil Wilson, our chief actuary officer in the UK, and I saw colleagues from the finance team. Neil and his team, and we have Sandro Bonazzi in Milan, the TechX team. These teams are using AI, machine learning, without even asking. Great. Okay, and these are the advanced users. Business people using AI for living. Great. But actually, all of us, we need to work out, how do I do this stuff for myself? Not wait for IT, but for myself. How do I have AI making my life easier so I can free 3 hours a day to do more thinking and less manual work? So yeah, it's a personal thing. each one of us needs to work out how we will use it instead of just IT, you go and do it for us.
Brilliant. Quick fire, one or two words, priorities.
Data foundation and change management, people, upskilling.
Great. Finally,
Product market fit. It's in insurance, technology is supporting the business.
okay.
And what our customers are looking for is how to do more business, how to sell more insurance. So technology is an enabler. You need to choose the right technology to enable you to do business, but you need to be able to have the tools to create the right products that will fit the market demands, and the market demand changes, especially as the younger generation starts to acquire insurance.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you for all your questions, and thank you to the panel.